Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Triple N Media. I am Dr. NIK NIKAM from Houston, Texas. This is COVID-19 Pandemic World News Update, July 20, 2021. We have been giving updates since March 15, 2020, and you can watch more than 80 videos we have on COVID-19 pandemic news. As of July 2021, there have been more than 35 million cases of COVID-19 here in the United States, accounting for more than 624 or 25,000 deaths. If you look across the globe, UK at the present time leads with number of cases approximating almost 40,000 new cases, followed by Indonesia, India, Iran, Russia, and United States is not too far, reporting 24,266 new cases of COVID-19. In fact, majority of these places all across the globe are reporting the Delta variant as the most predominant virus that is infecting people at the present time. And the death rates have been consistently going up. And here is a chart of the waveform in the United States. As we can see, back in March of 2020, we had the first wave, followed by there was a summer blip. Then we had the mega second wave, which was coming down. But now we can see the numbers are creeping up slowly but steadily. And this, I feel, may be the beginning of the third wave of the COVID-19 pandemic. Similarly, the death rates, which spiked to almost 4,000 per day during the second wave of the COVID pandemic, have come down. They are nowhere close to what they were during second wave or the first wave, but nonetheless, the death rates are still lingering on with the dawn of this third wave of the COVID pandemic. Here are some numbers from within the United States. State of California, Texas, Louisiana, Arizona, Missouri, New York, they are all reporting cases more than 1,000, with the exception of New York, which is one case less. This is a clear indication that the number of new cases are on the rise, and most of them are due to the more virulent and more serious coronavirus variant, namely the Delta variant. And that is what the topic of focus is going to be in this presentation. As we can see here, the daily new cases in Texas, we had the first wave, then we had the second wave, which had come down and it was slowly settling down. Now the case load has almost doubled or tripled in the last 2 weeks. This is an important blip we need to keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen. That is how the first wave started. That is how the second wave took off. And now I think this is probably the beginning of the third wave. Here is a similar picture from California, where the second wave had come down and it was almost non-visible, but now you can see the numbers have tripled or quadrupled in the last 2 weeks, that is in the month of July. Comparing that with the 1918 Spanish flu, which killed more than 50 million people all across the globe. And here is the first wave, which was a small one, followed by a flat line. Then the second wave, which was 5 times more deadly and more serious compared to the first wave. And here's the third wave. The point I would like to make here is the third wave of the Spanish flu was much bigger than the first wave. It was smaller than the second wave. It was much bigger than the first wave. So going back, looking at this Texas map, we can expect the third wave, if it materializes in the coming weeks and months, due to this virulent Delta variant, it would be much bigger than this and perhaps last a little longer as we compare it to the Spanish flu. As we can see, this one lasted for approximately less than 2 months, the first wave, whereas the third wave lasted from February almost, it lasted for like a month here, and may last 2-3 months. So going back to the waveform here in Texas, if this took us from March when it started, or I should say from May to August, May to June, July, August, 3 months, you could expect this third wave, if it transpires, could last more than 3 to 4 months at the least. Here are some real numbers from local areas. Arkansas has been experiencing a significantly higher number of COVID cases, particularly of the Delta variant. As we can see, the hospital data shows that currently they have like 681 patients with COVID infection. In fact, here in Houston, Methodist, which reported their caseload has gone up from 100 to 180. That's an 80% increase in the number of COVID cases, 84% of them from the Delta variant. And this is just at the Methodist Hospital, and this is the state of Arkansas. The most important number I want to point out is 119 people. That is 17.5% of the people with this COVID variant, the Delta variant, who were in the hospital were on ventilators. And these majority of these people were unvaccinated. So there is a clear message here. If you are unvaccinated, you have a much higher incidence of getting COVID infection. At this stage, the chances of getting COVID Delta variant is significantly higher than getting the Alpha variant of the COVID that caused the pandemic wave 1 and wave 2. It makes a lot of sense to keep these numbers in mind, because at the end of the day, it is your life that matters. It is not the media, it is not the political party, it is not the country, it is not religion, race, or ethnicity. Comorbid conditions and favorable infectious environment are going to make the difference as whether you can make it through a serious infection or not. Here is a similar story in UK, and UK, just like it was during the first wave and the second wave, is approximately, I would say, almost 4 weeks ahead of the United States pandemic waves. Here, this was probably the first wave, this was like the second wave together. Now it's the third wave, which is almost approaching the numbers seen in the second wave. As I told you, comparing it to the Spanish pandemic, the third wave is going to be much bigger than the first wave, maybe smaller than the second wave, just based on that comparison. This is what we might expect to see here in the United States in the coming weeks and months. Brings us to an important topic about what is Delta variant. As viruses spread, in order to survive, they transform themselves so they are more resistant to drugs or interventions done by human beings. They change their behavior. So it's just natural instinct for a living being to protect itself from an external threat. When we give antivirals or we give any other kind of medications to suppress the virus transforms. It's called mutation. The first one we had was the Alpha variant from the United Kingdom, which was labeled B.1.1.7. But anyway, that's the Alpha variant. And then we have the Delta variant, which was first recognized in India. It is recognized by B.1.617.2. The original was the one which originated in Wuhan, China. And then we also have a P variant, which came from Brazil, and of course the South African variant. And all these variants are much more virulent. They spread more rapidly. The people get sicker with these variants compared to the original variant that was recognized to come from Wuhan, China. Here is a table showing the designation alpha, beta, gamma, delta, and in fact, a new case of lambda, that is the fifth form of variation of a COVID virus, was reported here at the Methodist Hospital in Houston, Texas. So, ladies and gentlemen, the COVID pandemic is far from over. Mask is out, parties in, is a very strong message, and organizers should take notice of these charts, these graphs and numbers, and be cognizant of the fact that gathering of people in large numbers in crowded areas could be a perfect recipe for this Delta variant to spread like a wild forest fire all across the nation. As we said, the Delta variant was first recognized in India, and it has now spread to more than 74 countries. It is more transmissible. In UK, they found out this was twice as transmissible as the alpha variant. It is also more infectious. Once it gets into the body, it has transformed so it can get inside the lung cells quicker and replicate faster. As a result, they are more infectious. They also cause more damage to the organs, which can lead to serious symptoms. In addition, the Delta variant is resistant to the existing vaccines, with some exceptions, like Pfizer has been found to be at least 84% protective in terms of reducing serious infections. Found out in UK, it was noted that people who are infected with Delta variant were twice as likely to be hospitalized compared to those with the normal variant. Russia, they noted 60% of the new cases were of the Delta variant. In the United States, the last time I did the video, which was on July 7th, the incidence of a Delta variant was 20%. Now it is approaching almost 40, 45 to 50%. And that will be the dominant variant going through the summer and fall months here in the United States. Why is Delta variant more virulent or spreading rapidly? Delta variant has modified its proteins, so it makes it easier to get into the human lung cells. It may help to bind itself to the lung cells. So once it gets inside, it replicates itself, destroys the cell, and spreads to the other cells. And it also has transformed in such a way that it blends with the rest of the structure in the cells, so the body may not recognize it as a foreign object. These are just some of the hypotheses put forward to explain why Delta variant is more virulent compared to the other ones. These patients also have little different symptoms like headache, sore throat, running nose, fever. How prevalent is the Delta wave? Israel has the largest collection of field data about vaccines and their protection against COVID reinfection. Israel has a population of 9 million people. 88% of the population over the age of 50 years had both doses of Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine. More than 50% had received at least one dose of COVID vaccine. It was 93% effective in preventing hospitalization with the COVID infection. It is down from 97% in patients with Delta variant. So patients with Delta variant had a 93% effectiveness in preventing hospitalization, but still those who are hospitalized are sicker, they get worse in a short duration of time. Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine was 87% protective against Delta variant in June and early July. Houston reported on COVID-19 outbreak, including Delta variant cases, which should be a wake-up call for all people, especially the organizers who are involved with all these parties or in concept. It's an excellent article. It was reported in Texas Tribune. You can read that. Okay, how can we prevent future new variants of COVID infection? Well, one thing is, if Delta variant is spreading rapidly, we need to minimize the spread of Delta variant. The best way to do is protect ourselves from getting infected, because if we get infected, we are going to spread that to so many other people, and they are going to spread it to so many other people, and it's going to go like an inverted pyramid. As a result, the infection is going to turn into a mega wave 3. We need to stop the spread of the virus. Only less than 50% of the people in the United States have been fully vaccinated. It is unbelievable as to why so many people have not been vaccinated, despite the fact more than 300 million doses of this COVID vaccine are freezing in the freezers. The first step would be to get people vaccinated, because even though these vaccines were designed for the original coronavirus, yet these vaccines have been found to be very effective in reducing the incidence of severe infection, reducing hospitalizations, and reducing mortality from COVID infection from Delta variants. So these are significant points we need to keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen. You have been watching COVID-19 Pandemic World News. I am Dr. NIK NIKAM from Houston, Texas. And please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. Watch more than 80 videos we have on COVID-19 pandemic education. We will see you next time.